He was an environmental planner, a cancer researcher, a chief of staff to a state senator, and then in 2016, Chris Ward was elected city council member for District 3, which is where we are standing or sitting right now. And he is here now to present this year's Inspiration Awards. Chris Ward. I believe you say a few bits, and then you present, and I read the awards.
Let's
correct?
do it.
All right.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. And yes, it's true. I don't think we've seen this luncheon so full to be able to extend wall to wall here in the Balboa Park Club. It's my pleasure to be back here with all of you and really help to present some of these really distinguished honors for people that have been amazing volunteers. But I do want to, again, as always, as a council member for District 3 for Balboa Park, representing the urban core of San Diego, thank the Friends of Balboa Park for what you do. It's a true partnership with an amazing nonprofit that's able to provide that added love that we all want for Balboa Park. We, of course, at the city are doing all that we can do to provide much of that core investment, work on infrastructure, make sure that you feel safe. We've added more park rangers this year, and this is all great things. But, because of the Friends of Balboa Park, because of all you here today supporting this luncheon, and I also want to thank the chair and the rest of the board, David Marshall, thank you for being an exemplary partner organization here for the park. We all love Balboa Park for so many different reasons, but I think fundamentally, and what drives us, what a common interest is here, is that we see this as a civic treasure. And we have treasures all around us, and they are what they are because of the investment that we put in as a community. And our honorees today are some of the best that San Diego does and has for our park. So we certainly are really pleased to be able to provide these honors. It's a great reflection, and we heard Stacy LaMedico mention this too. It's a great reflection of volunteerism throughout the city. That volunteerism keeps our civic institutions going, and it keeps San Diego such a wonderful place to live and to visit. We know that 85% of what happens here in the park are because of volunteers, and they come from all forms of life. They are busy moms, teens, retirees that want to lend their time and their experience and their expertise to institutions big and small. So today we're highlighting some of our most dedicated volunteers from the Civic Youth Ballet, from the Automotive Museum and the San Diego Zoo, but we know that volunteerism is ingrained in every facet of the park, and so I am deeply grateful to the organizations that foster these volunteers and for the countless hours that they all put in. So on behalf, as your council member, and on behalf of the city of San Diego, I want to thank you all for your time and your dedication and your love to Balboa Park, and congratulations to all of today's honorees. Thank you.
And I get to say a few words about our awardees. Karen Krampe linked up with San Diego Civic Youth Ballet at about 8 years ago. Karen? Where's our choreographer? Darlene? Karen linked up with the San Diego Civic Youth Ballet about 8 years ago. Her daughter started classes there, and parents were invited or required to volunteer. Karen has fulfilled that invitation with joy and put her skills to good use: marketing, computers, sewing, socializing, selling, economizing. At Youth Ballet, they call her the mom of the moms as she welcomes new members into the group. All her life, Karen has been volunteering. She says giving and caring for something beyond yourself is work, but it's work that is fun. Karen Krampe. After 45 years, for health reasons, Greg Rushall retired from being an auto mechanic. Are we out of order? I'm out of order. Greg Rushall retired from being an auto mechanic. After hanging around the house for a while, his wife finally said, "You need to go out and get something to do." Heard that story before. When Greg hesitated, she said, "You love keeping cars pristine. Go to the Automotive Museum and clean their cars for them." And so he has been now for 14 years. Greg enjoys interacting with museum visitors, and as for the cars loaned to the museum for the show, Greg sees to it that they leave in better condition than they arrived. He says it takes a couple of hours to fully detail each vehicle, partly because there are thousands of fingerprints on them. Greg Rushall, congratulations. I have Mark up next. Is that okay? Mark? All right. Mark Leland is another car guy, kind of flows these two together. He moved here from the East Coast, where obviously cars take a much more beating than they get here in San Diego, I think. As a retiree, Mark needed something to do as well, and he says the rest is history. Besides enjoying the shiny vehicles, Mark has become friends with the many sparkling museum staff members and other volunteers. Mark Leland. I can't mess up this one. There's only one more person here. Jim Marsh thinks of the San Diego Zoo, where he volunteers, as a botanical garden that just happens to have some really cool animals sprinkled in. Jim's easy to spot at the zoo. He's the one talking to the plants. When Jim retired in 2013, he wanted to do something outdoors, maybe work in a nursery, he thought, and then he found out about the zoo park's volunteer program, and he was hooked. In addition to being an information ambassador on the zoo grounds, he works to save endangered species. He enjoys meeting visitors from all over the world and working with a great team of like-minded volunteers. And of course, if you want to know anything at all about the plants in the zoo, Jim is the guy to see. Jim Marsh.